We'll see. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to the first ever AFC Championship edition of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, here with J-Dash and Big Easy. This is the first time in the 3 years we've been doing this that Pittsburgh has made it this far. Gotta love it.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they made it farther each year we did this.
Yeah, believe that. We just got to keep going. Maybe they'll finally win another Super Bowl. I say finally like it's really been that long. So let's talk about the elephant in the room before we get into the game. AB's Facebook post. You could hear Coach Tomlin dropping F-bombs and calling the New England Patriots a-holes. Does this bother either one of you?
Yeah, AB's an idiot. He shouldn't have been Facebooking live at that point. That was stupid, man.
As soon as the game was over, I was on Facebook, and it popped up. And I was like, look at him. I mean, it looked like he was rolling on ecstasy. He was, I swear. He was staring.
He always looks like that.
Well, no, it was even more intense. He was like just staring at his phone or whatever and cheesing hard. Big grin on his face. 40K. 40,000 people are watching him. He's going 40K. 40K.
Business is booming.
Hey, you know what?
I seen Tomlin called him selfish.
Yeah, Tomlin said that it's a shame when great players continually do things like this. They end up going from team to team. Now, there's some people in the Pittsburgh media saying that was a shot across the bow to AB, telling him, we will trade you if this keeps up. Do you think Pittsburgh would?
Probably not.
No? Easy?
You know what? It's a Pittsburgh team, even though it's the Steelers. I kind of, in the back of my mind, I think to myself, they would love to not want to pay someone that much money to play football. So... who knows? He's gonna
turn into Amy.
He's gonna have to get big money, and if he's goofy, that's what better excuse not to give him a contract and say, look at him, he's goofy. You know, not pay him, and then they'll have sympathizers, yinzicizers for that.
I mean, I've said that the Pirates do similar things when they were, with Pedro Alvarez towards the end. They started trying to make it seemed so as the fans were on their side. They were just trying to turn their agenda. So if the Steelers did something like that against AB, just in the public relations, way, it wouldn't surprise me.
Right.
But now let's talk about this football game. It's exciting to have Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship game. We haven't been there since the 2010 season when we went to the Super Bowl and lost to Green Bay. Pittsburgh has been to 16 AFC Championship games in their history. The Patriots have been to 13 AFC Championship games in their history. New England is 3-1 against Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and Brady and company are 16-3 in Foxborough in the playoffs. My question to you, Dash, is Brady racist?
Wait, what?
You heard him?
Is Brady racist? Because
yeah, all his wide receivers are white, man. You got Chris Hogan, you got Julian Edelman, you got Danny Amendola. He likes throwing to Gronk. I mean, he only likes throwing to white guys. What's up with that?
And plus, he throws to that other dude. His last name's White.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Malcolm Mitchell came up with some plays later in the season there. And Dion Lewis. Tom Brady loves Dion Lewis. The New England Patriots, I've seen something. The New England Patriots have never lost when Dion Lewis plays.
Right.
So he loves Dion Lewis. Never. He hasn't been there that long. He hasn't spent his entire career in New England. So what's he been there? 2 or 3 years now. But yeah, from my understanding, when this guy plays, they don't lose.
Panthers.
Let's blow his knee out so he can't play in the game.
Nope. I'd rather beat a man up. I'd
Full
rather
on squad.
Take a man to man.
Now, Easy, before we came on the air, we both mentioned the Steelers, when they won their 2 Super Bowls recently, they did not have to go through New England to do it. Does that take away from those Super Bowl wins to either one of you?
Yeah, of course. Well, no. It doesn't take away anything. It makes this AFC Championship game, they played them once, didn't they? Or was it twice?
Championship game?
Yeah. Was it twice we seen?
Twice. Once with Stewart, once with Roethlisberger.
Okay. And
Big Ben's rookie year.
Yeah, definitely. That was the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? What I was saying, it'd be too sweet to knock them off at Foxborough to get to a Super Bowl. That would be
especially with all the struggles Pittsburgh's had in Foxborough.
I think literally if Ben Roethlisberger has a huge game and just wins and gets to the Super Bowl and takes out Tom Brady, that sends him to the Hall of Fame right there. Just winning this game on Sunday sends him to the Hall of Fame, if you ask me.
I think his numbers are getting there where he doesn't really need to win any more rings or anything, make it to any more Super Bowls. His numbers are there. He's already won 2 Super Bowls. I think this guy's about in at this point.
It's funny you mentioned that, Easy.
He's a lock if he wins Sunday. First ballot.
I was thinking if Big Ben wins this football game, is he considered one of the best QBs of all time and maybe one of the most underrated QBs of all time?
No, he's only underrated. I don't think he's underrated. Yinzers think he's underrated, but
yeah, I don't think he's underrated.
They don't talk about him, but
everybody considers him a top 5 QB every year. So.
Yeah, I mean, people in the league, the people that are actually in the NFL, you never hear them. I mean, the chatter's there. I don't know. You know, who's, what were we talking about? Underrated. Overrated.
Is Big Ben underrated?
Underrated. Nah.
Is he overrated?
Never.
Maybe to some people.
Yeah, see, that's the difference. I mean, I would say there's more people that feel he doesn't get the respect he deserves more than people feel he gets too much. But there was some weird Sports Illustrated article about him. What was that all about? I don't even know anything about it. Recently, did you touch on that at all?
I seen it. I didn't really read it. They basically just blasted him about the whole rape thing that never really happened because he was never charged.
Huh. Yeah,
But now the Sports Illustrated this week is talking about how great Tom Brady is, even though he dumped his pregnant ex-girlfriend to get with Giselle.
That's life. That's life.
I'm just saying, everybody does things like that. So why blast
I don't compare those two things, though. Leaving a girl that's pregnant is a little different than raping someone. Not that Big Ben did that, but...
Leaving a girl with your kid and not helping her raise it, that's not a bad thing?
I didn't say it wasn't a bad thing. I just said it's not comparable to raping someone.
All right. I'll give you that.
What do you think the dynamic will be between LeGarrette Blount and Le'Veon Bell on Sunday?
I think they'll both be high as hell by the time the game starts.
By game time. I thought you said you had some questions. Bring them.
Do you guys think that Pittsburgh needs to hit a few big plays to win this football game? This offense has been predicated on the run. Bill Belichick is very good at shutting down a team's main threat, so you got to think he's going to go after Le'Veon Bell in that running game. So without a second option at wide receiver, considering Ladarius Green's probably still going to miss this football game, are they going to be able to throw the football? AB's going to get double, triple covered. I feel like they're going to have to hit a couple big plays to loosen that defense up, which led the league in points against.
Well, I'd be giving the ball to Le'Veon early in the game and see if he can do what he's done so far in the playoffs. This guy has been a beast. He's taken his game to the next level here in the playoffs. So I'd be feeding him the ball. But in the passing game, you look back to last week, I mean, Antonio Brown, he came up with over 100 yards. One of those was a 52-yard reception, which was a big play, gave him a field goal, which was the difference in the game. Any one of those field goals were. That was a big play, but he really didn't do too much outside of that 52-yard reception. And at the very end of the game, when they needed to convert on 3rd and 3, he came up with a nice, 6-yard reception, something like that.
Ball.
Outside of that, Jesse James was the guy in this game that seemed like the most consistent and reliable receiver to me.
Wide open.
Yeah, another one of Antonio Brown's receptions in that game was a 29-yard reception at the end of the half when everybody just backed off and they just padded stats. So it wasn't like Antonio Brown was a force last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. Jesse James stepped up and played a big role in that passing game. Now, everybody played a little bit of a role. Eli Rogers had a few catches, didn't do anything big or anything. But I like what I see now to Jesse James, and hopefully he can take a step forward from last week and do something against New England.
When Roethlisberger is at his best, it's when he's pushing the ball downfield. So when we sit here and say he has to play a good game, him playing a good game equals big plays. So, yes.
Yeah, and that play to Antonio Brown was a big play. But if you looked in that Kansas City game, man, he was off on a lot of those throws. He just did not look good in that game, and he was unable to finish, unable to get the ball in the end zone. And if you can't do that against the New England Patriots, you're going to have a hard time beating them. You can't win. Easy thought you couldn't beat Kansas City with just field goals. It turns out they barely did. You're not going to beat New England with just field goals for sure.
It's funny because people keep saying, obviously you have to score touchdowns to beat New England, and you do. And then people were giving credit to Kansas City saying, well, they have a really good red zone defense and they don't allow a lot of points. Well, okay, they don't, and they do have a good red zone defense. Well, New England's is just as good, if not better. They allowed less points than Kansas City did. New England didn't even allow 16 points per game throughout this season. So can Big Ben get ramped back up and play like he's capable of? And will Pittsburgh need to score 30 points for them to be able to win this football game?
No, because if you look at the list of the quarterbacks that New England went up against on the opposite teams they played, just a list of garbage. It's like a giant garbage can. I wish I had it.
Let's see.
Pull up the list.
Well,
of who the Patriots had to opposition quarterbacks against the Patriots this year. Read them off.
Well, let's not do the whole season because that'll take a while. But they are on a 8 game winning streak. That includes last week in the playoffs, which was Brock Osweiler, correct?
Yeah. So
garbage.
The last 8 quarterbacks they played.
They played Matt Moore in week 17. Week 16, whoever the Jets played at that point,
garbage.
Maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick. They played
garbage.
The Broncos, whoever they started at that
Paxton
point.
Lynch,
Might have
garbage.
been Paxton Lynch. Correct. They played Joe Flacco, beat them 30-23.
Garbage.
That was actually the most points they let up in that entire span. They played the Rams, whoever they had in a quarterback at that point,
Goff.
obviously. And they played the Jets a second time in that span, and they played the 49ers in that span.
Kaepernick. So
really, they haven't played a good team in a long while.
They haven't played a good team ever. So
Well,
they're done.
Before that, they lost to the Seahawks. They beat the Bills. They beat the Steelers, the Bengals, the Browns.
Played the Steelers with Landry. Played the Bills with Tyrod Taylor. They haven't had a solid quarterback. They haven't played a solid quarterback in 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah.
Week 1, they played Carson Palmer. And
Carson Palmer is at his best in week 1. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Well, he was a beast last year coming into the season. Everybody was high on Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer's a week 1 beast.
So what do you think, Dash? Does Pittsburgh need 30 to win?
Close to. I don't know if they'll necessarily need 30. I think New England could put up a little over 25 in this game. I think the Steelers' defense can hold New England under 30, though.
Who do you guys think Belichick will try to take away from the Pittsburgh offense? I mentioned a minute ago, I feel like he's going to go after Le'Veon Bell. When Belichick was the defensive coordinator for the Giants going up against the Bills in Super Bowl 25, he allowed Thurman Thomas to run the ball for a lot of yards in that game, but essentially he slowed down that high-flying K-gun offense that Jim Kelly ran and actually kept the Bills from scoring a lot of points. By just letting them slowly churn out yards, they actually limited their amount of possessions. The Giants were able to score more points and win that football game. Are they going to do the same thing to Pittsburgh?
Just try to focus on Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah, I mean, are they going to just totally stuff them, or are they going to just let them keep gaining yards and try to keep hold them to field goals like Kansas City did?
Well, again, they in the playoffs so far, the Pittsburgh Steelers faced the Miami Dolphins, who can't stop the run, and they faced the Kansas City Chiefs, who can't stop the run. Now, something's got to give this week because New England can stop the run. But Le'Veon Bell has been one of the best players in the league all season long, so I think he can get it going. They'd be smart to try to stop him, but they don't want to just stack the box necessarily because they do know Big Ben can still beat you. I know he hasn't been himself this season, at least in my mind, he hasn't. I think he's had somewhat of a down season. I know he made the Pro Bowl. He's in the AFC Championship, so it couldn't be that bad. But he still hasn't been himself. But I don't think they're going to sell out on the run and say, let's make Big Ben beat us, because that ain't smart either.
I believe that is going to be their strategy to begin the game. All out stop Le'Veon. All out.
Easy. What do you think about all this talk? Le'Veon's running style. Obviously, we've all seen it, that chip and run and stop and cut and juke. everybody's saying that New England's going to be able to time that and they're going to just stuff him right off the bat. Should he continue what's made him successful, or should he go back to what running backs have done in history and just hit the hole and hit it hard?
No, he keeps doing what he's doing, and they can time it. But if you make blocks the way they've been blocking, then it's going to end the same or whatever. I mean, they may be able to time it, but then if the block is made, dude's running. So
well, I said it a few times.
It's plays. It's playmaking.
I said
up
it a few
front.
times this season. I think Le'Veon Bell has it down where he knows who he's going up against, and if he can be really patient, he's going to be patient. But like I said it before, you can't go up against the Ravens team or a New England Patriots team and be as patient as he was, especially against the Dolphins. Last week, it wasn't quite as patient. I mean, he's still really patient, more patient than any running back in football. But against the Miami Dolphins, he'd stop for a complete second and then take off. So, some teams you can't do that against. You got to just get the 4 yards you can get or whatever. So I think being as patient as he has been might not work. So he might want to not necessarily just drop the whole patience aspect of it, but just I'm telling you, we seen it earlier this season. We had this argument earlier this season. Who was it? Somebody stopped him. I think it was the Baltimore Ravens. And I even said going into that game, you can't be as patient as you usually are. Now, like I said, he's taking his patience to the next level here in the playoffs. I'm thinking it's because of the teams they've been playing and really the way this offensive line has been going, that he was able to take that patience to the next level. But I really think if you try to be as patient as you were these past 2 weeks, New England will step up and fill that hole quicker than you've seen over the past few games here in the playoffs.
So in Le'Veon's first playoff game, he set a Steelers rushing record. In his second playoff game, he set a Steelers rushing record. Will he do it again in his third playoff game?
Yeah, Fernandez wrong.
Yeah, that's a little bit too much there. I don't think he's going to have more than 170 yards rushing. 100, I could see a little over 100.
Yeah, I guarantee he goes over $1.
Guarantee.
Yep.
I like it. Well, let's switch it up to the defense. You can get back to the offense in a little bit if you want to. The Steelers' defense has only allowed 28 points in the playoffs. What do they have to do to stop Tom Brady? When you blitz Brady, do you sell out and try to get to him as quick with everybody, or do you want to do kind of what the Giants have been successful and other teams, not necessarily just the Giants, and drop 7 and only rush 4 and just tell those 4 you got to get there?
No, I try to put pressure on Brady myself. I don't think just unless you can get to him with those 4, but that's not necessarily going to happen. If you give him all day, it isn't going to work out either. I think you got to put a little bit of pressure on him. You got to make sure you can stop the run game, and the way Dion Lewis looked last week, that's going to be a tough thing to do. Especially not just what he did on the ground, but what he does out of the backfield. And we've seen how Pittsburgh had some troubles with backs like that earlier this season. But I think you got to get pressure on Brady and force him to get the ball out quick.
He's beat Pittsburgh bad on some all-out blitzes in the past, and he's at his best reading those blitzes and getting those hot routes. So would you bring 5-6 guys at him and hope you get there in time and just hope he doesn't hit that route? Because we've seen him just carve the Steelers up.
And well, not necessarily every time, but you look earlier this season, man, Pittsburgh wasn't able to get to the quarterback, and this defense didn't look very good. People were down on this defense, and then they turned things around, started blitzing 5 and 6 and getting to the quarterback. So while Brady may have beaten them on it in the past, that's the way they've been winning this year. So you don't want to completely back off of the way you've been winning just because of the team you're facing necessarily at this point in the season. I say go with what you've been winning with, not how you've been beaten in the past by this team.
Right, yeah. They don't need to overthink it.
I agree.
It's just a regular-ass football team. I say it's the New England Patriots, so what? But it's just a game, man. It's just a football game. That's when the teams get screwed up when they start trying to outthink Belichick or whatever. No. Just go out there and do what you've been doing.
Easy. Would you take an early roughing the passer penalty to hit Brady hard and try to get in his head? Because we've seen Brady at his worst when defenses have been able to hit him a few times.
Well, even if we hit Brady legally, we're going to get called for personal foul. So, yeah, let's rough him up early, no doubt.
Well, I think you do want to hit them, and I think you want to bring those 5 and 6 guys and keep hitting them as often as possible.
Now, we talked earlier about this receiving core for the New England Patriots. You got Chris Hogan, you got Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, and Malcolm Mitchell. No Gronkowski. Martellus Bennett, he's a good fill-in, but he
was beat up at the end of the game last week. We'll have to see what's up with him as well.
Was Floyd there too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got Michael Floyd. Who out of those guys scares you the most going up against this young Steelers defensive backs?
Edelman's always a guy that can get 7, 8, 9 catches in a game, and he can definitely do that against Pittsburgh. But Michael Floyd's a wild card, man. That guy can beat a defense, so he's kind of the guy that scares me at this point.
You know, Pittsburgh's defense gave up the least amount of, I think it was touchdowns, over 20 yards in the league. And only 2.
Just 2.
Just 2 all year. Might have been
and that's
total
the difference from this year's
yard
defense.
plays, but I don't think so.
That's the difference between this year's defense and the past couple years.
Yeah, this young defense still undefeated since Sean Davis has come into the lineup.
Beast
Dude's
mode.
a wild card. Does the running game for New England scare you? Does LeGarrette Blount scare you? He didn't even average 4 yards a carry, I don't believe, in the season. I mean, he got his yards, but he's a guy who
got his
slowly
touchdowns.
Yeah, he got a lot of touchdowns. But he just slowly churns out yards. I feel like the Steelers' defense could really just stack up and shut him down early.
What do you mean by stack up? I'm not stacking the line to shut down LeGarrette Blount. You don't want to leave.
Oh, they're not going to. I mean, their front 7 stacks the line enough. They're not going to bring a guy up or anything.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm not worried about LeGarrette Blount. The way this defense has been going over the past couple of weeks, I mean, Jay Ajayi ran for 200 yards on him, and then the first week of the playoffs there in the wild card round got completely shut down by this Steelers defense. You look, Spencer Ware had a great season. Tyreek Hill was supposed to be a huge playmaker, and he was pretty much all season long, starting around week 4 or 5. And people were worried about that Kansas City Chiefs run game a little bit, and the Steelers went out there and shut that down as well. I think you actually said they'd have over 100 yards, Jim. They didn't even have close to that, I don't believe. This Steelers defense right now is on a roll, and I don't think LeGarrette Blount is going to fare much better. I think the guy you got to worry about is Dion Lewis. He got a ton of playing time last week, and that's the guy that really scares me in the run game and in the passing game out there. That's who I should have said, not Michael Floyd. I should have said Dion Lewis is the guy that scares me.
Now, James Harrison had a big game last week. He has a bit of a shoulder and a triceps injury right now. Nothing that's going to keep him out of the game. Is James Harrison human, or is he a robot?
Dude is a beast, non-GMO beast is what he is.
When they got back from their flight from Kansas City, it was about 4 a.m. He didn't even go home. He went straight to the facility and started working out.
Take care of your body, and you can do it. Tom Brady was talking about it on the radio earlier this week as well. He's an older guy too, and he's still doing his thing. He was saying, you know, at that age, it's not all talent anymore. You got to take care of your body as well, and that's what James Harrison's doing. And some guys can do it. I've seen Julio Franco was like 48 years old playing Major League Baseball. So I know football's a different sport. It's a lot tougher sport. But there's some hockey players out there, too, that play to a pretty old age. So
Jaromir Jagr.
Yeah, if you can take care of your body, who knows? James Harrison, play till you're 45 years old, man.
Hey, John Daly is a fat, drunken idiot, and he can play golf all day long.
Please believe. Golf's a little different, though.
Ball.
So this Steelers defense has helped in this 9-game winning streak, mostly without Cam Hayward. Who is now the best player on this Steelers defense?
There's a few of them you can choose from. Two, it's a beast out there. Really, since Hayward went down, because we were talking Hayward was the best player on this defense at one point. Really, he went down. Two, it came back. He's been playing lights out pretty much. Hargrave is a beast there in the middle. Sean Davis looks like a beast to me. Like you said, they haven't lost since they put him in. I will say Artie Burns has made some mistakes here and there down the stretch, but you expect that out of a rookie, and I expect big things out of him next year. But to me, James Harrison's the best player on his defense, man. You kidding me? This guy is nonstop, dude.
I agree. That's what I was going to allude to if you did not say it. I mean, come on. 38 years old. The guy spends $350,000 a year on his body. He had the most sacks on the team coming into the playoffs. I keep asking the question of when this guy's going to slow down every year. You keep asking when Tom Brady's going to slow down. Who's going to slow down first, Harrison or Brady?
Tom Brady. It's going to start this week.
Yeah.
Please believe.
All right. Well, let's see here. The New England Patriots have scored at least 30 points in 4 of their last 5 games. Do they do it again this week?
No, I don't think either team gets to 30.
All right, the defense has been on a roll as well. Actually, during this 8-game winning streak, 23 points or less in every game and 17 points or less in all but one game. So this defense has been on a roll, but like Easy said, they really haven't played that great of a team. The Baltimore Ravens are probably the best team. Well, I guess you could say Houston because they made the playoffs. Although if Houston went head-to-head with Baltimore, I'd probably still pick Baltimore. So what about on this other side? Will the New England Patriots defense be able to stop Pittsburgh like they have over this winning streak?
I think it's going to be a lot harder. I think Pittsburgh's offense is the type of offense that can really beat New England. They don't necessarily have to get big plays to win football games. They've been showing it over this win streak. I know there's been a couple long catch and runs, but there hasn't been a lot of going downfield, which is a little out of Ben Roethlisberger's, skill set, I guess. I'm not saying he's not a good, accurate passer, but usually, like Easy said earlier, he's pushing the ball downfield, especially in the Bruce Arians days. So I think it's going to be a lot harder for this New England defense. Roethlisberger's definitely a better quarterback than anybody they faced. So I think Pittsburgh can score between 25 and 30, but maybe not quite get to 30.
Who is the best quarterback New England faced this season? That is the question. It might be
Landry Jones.
Yeah, Landry Jones, Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton, that guy's a joke.
Russell Wilson probably, but they lost him.
Yep. So if Russell Wilson can beat him, we should be able to beat him, right?
Blah, 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 blah.
Whose defense is better, Seattle's or Pittsburgh's, right now?
It's pretty close.
Without Earl Thomas, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh's defense has been beast this season. I think this win makes it the 9th time this season that they let up 16 points or less. I believe that's what I seen earlier today. And again, 28 points through 2 playoff games. I guess New England isn't going to reach 28 points in this game, you're saying, Jim?
I don't think so.
No, I think I am going to pick New England to score exactly 28 points in this game.
Funny you mentioned that about the Steelers defense, Dash. I forgot I wanted to mention this. Here is a list of Steelers defenses that allowed 16 or fewer points in 2 playoff games. It didn't have to be consecutive, just 2 playoff games in the same year. This year's Steelers defense, the 79, 78, 75, and 74 defenses. That's some pretty good company.
Please believe it. Let's see, one other question here. We were talking about Le'Veon Bell earlier and the way he's been running. What is it, 335 yards, something like that over the past 2 games?
Somewhere around there.
A ridiculous number no matter. And you were asking if he's going to beat that 170 again this week. I think that's a little out of the question. But can he get to 150 total? Does he go over or under 150 total yardage?
I think he goes over. I think you're going to see Le'Veon have a lot better game through the air than on the ground this week.
So what's your key to victory?
Man, I said it last week, and I'm going to just kind of say it again. You've won 9 in a row. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They got to run the ball effectively. I think it's going to be harder for them. They actually have to throw the ball more efficiently. So that's going to be a challenge for them. But just keep doing it. Don't get too flustered if you get behind early. Don't throw the football 50 times. You don't want to try to out-duel Brady. I'm not taking anything away from Roethlisberger, but he's a different style of quarterback than Brady. Like Easy said, he's a big play guy. I'm not saying he can't throw the ball 50 times. I know he's had success here and there, but again, that's more the exception than the rule when it comes to his skill set. You don't want both quarterbacks thrown 50-plus times because I don't think it'll end well for Pittsburgh. So I think they just got to run the ball effectively, throw the ball efficiently, and keep playing great defense. Brady only threw 2 picks through the whole season, but he threw 2 picks last week against Houston. I know both passes were tipped, but they're still interceptions. Get your hands up. Eddie B said it, I believe, last week in one of the comments on our episodes. You just got to get the Brady, get him a little flustered, and keep doing what you're doing. Easy said it earlier. Don't overthink it. Don't get all confused or crazy because you're going against Belichick. One of the greatest things Belichick does is just do what his teams are good at. So that's what Pittsburgh needs to do.
Another thing Easy said was Ben likes to push the ball downfield, and he really hasn't done that much this season. A combination of losing Martavis Bryant, Sammy Coates going down early and not really stepping back up to make an impact, and Todd Haley's a little bit of a check-down type offensive coordinator as well. But I think in this game, you got to come up with some big plays, some playmaker plays out of someone, whether it's Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Eli Rogers, DeMarcus Ayers, I don't care who it is. You need a couple game-changing plays in this game. It can't be just go down the field. They scored 6 times last game, all field goals, 18 points. Now, even if they get into the end zone one of those times, I still don't think that's enough to beat the Patriots. I think they got to go out there and make some game-changing plays, 1 or 2 offensively, maybe 1 or 2 defensively as well.
What about you, Easy?
Key to victory, sack the quarterback. That's it.
Key it up.
4 sacks. If they sack Brady 4 or more times, we'll win the football game.
I like it.
That's it.
What's your prediction, Dash?
New England goes up early. The Steelers fight their way back in the second half and just come up short in the end. 28-27 New England.
No. You know what's going to happen? Go ahead, tell them.
I agree that it's going to be a close game. I agree that New England will even go up early, but I think Pittsburgh sticks with it. I think Roethlisberger keeps this offense steady, and I think they just slowly chip away. Like you guys alluded to, the defense for New England hasn't faced some great offenses. Pittsburgh can get touchdowns here and there on big plays, and I think AB gets one of them out of it. Although I do think Pittsburgh has to win it on a late Boswell field goal in the game, but I think Pittsburgh, last week I picked them to win by 2. I think it's tied 25-25, and Pittsburgh wins it 28-25.
That's right. That's right.
And you?
31-27 Pittsburgh.
So all right, whatever. I'm not even getting into it. We'll have a 10-minute argument.
To the Super Bowl, baby. Let me win a Super Bowl with you.
So that's it. 2 against 1. Dash picks the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
That's blasphemy, Dash.
Garbage.
Hey, I'm gonna speak truth, how I feel.
Well, wait. I haven't. Every time you've picked against Pittsburgh, they've won this year, though, right?
Ball.
No, I picked Dallas to beat them.
Oh, well, yeah, that game was kind of fluky, but I'll give you that one.
Right. Ball.
I picked New England to beat them too.
Well, that didn't count. It was Landry Jones. We all picked New England to beat him.
Believe it.
Roethlisberger changes the game. Who's better, Roethlisberger or Brady right now? Not all time. Don't worry about their past accomplishments. Just today. Who's better?
Brady.
Tom Brady.
Still?
Yep.
100%.
Poor Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
That's all I got. You guys got anything else?
Dude needs to score a touchdown to be better than Tom Brady.
Hey,
throw a touchdown pass, my brother.
Yeah, I will. I want to say one more thing. 10 minutes into the segment, I thought we were doing the Chiefs recap.
Hey, we don't need to recap nothing. Boswell, baby. Fans, questions, comments, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimtowin. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. Share it with your friends. Like it with your friends. Subscribe to our page at youtube.com/betthespread. You got to share it with everybody. The whole world deserves the spread. Give it to them.